In the sleepy town of Ashford, nestled deep in the woods, there stood a house that had been abandoned for as long as anyone could remember. Its once grand facade had withered over time, with ivy crawling up the cracked stone walls and windows clouded with dust. The locals called it the Whispering House. Legends about the house had circulated for generations. Some said it was cursed, others believed it was a gateway to another realm. But everyone agreed on one thing: the house was haunted. One cold autumn evening, a young couple named Emily and Jack moved into the town. They were drawn to Ashford by its quaint charm and affordable real estate. When they heard about the Whispering House, they were intrigued rather than scared. Emily, an aspiring writer, thought it would be the perfect place to find inspiration for her next novel. Despite the warnings from the townsfolk, Emily and Jack decided to visit the house. The iron gate creaked as they pushed it open, and the air grew colder as they approached the front door. With a deep breath, Jack turned the rusty doorknob, and the door swung open with an eerie groan. Inside, the house was just as they imagined: dark, dusty, and full of secrets. The floorboards creaked under their feet as they explored the rooms, each one more decrepit than the last. They found old furniture covered in sheets, forgotten portraits on the walls, and a grand piano in the parlor, its keys yellowed with age. As they ventured deeper into the house, they began to hear faint whispers. At first, they thought it was just the wind, but the voices grew louder and more distinct. It was as if the walls themselves were speaking to them. "The house has been waiting," the voices murmured. "It has been so long." Emily and Jack exchanged uneasy glances, but neither wanted to admit they were scared. They continued exploring, eventually finding themselves in the basement. The air was damp and musty, and the whispers were almost deafening now. In the center of the basement, they found a large, ornate mirror. The glass was cracked, and the frame was covered in strange symbols. Emily felt an inexplicable urge to touch it. As her fingers brushed the surface, the whispers ceased abruptly, plunging the room into a deafening silence. Suddenly, the mirror began to ripple like water, and a figure appeared within it, a woman with long, flowing hair and hollow eyes. She stared at Emily and Jack with a sorrowful expression. "Help me," the woman whispered. "I am trapped." The room began to spin, and the walls seemed to close in on them. Emily and Jack tried to run, but the house wouldn't let them leave. Doors slammed shut, windows sealed themselves, and the whispers returned, louder and more menacing. "The house needs new souls," the voices chanted. "It has been too long." Desperate and terrified, Emily grabbed a nearby candlestick and hurled it at the mirror. The glass shattered into 1,000 pieces, and the woman in the mirror screamed, a blood-curdling sound that echoed throughout the house. In that moment, the walls stopped closing in, and the doors unlocked. Emily and Jack didn't hesitate. They bolted up the stairs and out the front door, not stopping until they were far away from the house. When they finally looked back, the Whispering House was quiet. The whispers had ceased, and the oppressive feeling that had surrounded it was gone. But the house still stood, silent and foreboding, as if waiting for its next visitors. Emily and Jack left Ashford the next day, never to return. They never spoke of what happened in the Whispering House, but they both knew they had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. The house, however, remains. And on cold, still nights, if you listen closely, you might just hear the whispers calling out for the next soul to claim.